Recent moves by the Chinese government seem to suggest that they are preparing for a war over Taiwan. China's newly updated law on reservists delays the retirement age for officers and enlisted personnel. A large number of defense mobilization offices are established locally to improve the government's ability to transition from peacetime to wartime. At last year's 20th National Congress of the party, the Central Politburo admitted multiple provincial party secretaries with strong working background in military industry. Are each of these governmental actions suggestive of the Chinese Communist Party's intention to invade Taiwan? Yes, in a sense, but that will be its Plan B, and the CCP probably hopes that Taiwan will mistake Plan B for its Plan A and thus not be adequately defended against the Plan A. What is the CCP's Plan A then? In parallel with the CCP's high-profile preparations for war, there have been some significant appointments in the party's top leadership. Wang Huning is staying on as a Politburo Standing Committee member and is heading the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, the government body that leads the United Front effort. Wang is also appointed deputy head of the Central Leading Group on Taiwan. The head of the group is Xi Jinping. The United Front refers to unity and solidarity between different political and social groups through a common struggle for a shared political purpose, which sounds like the Western Allies' ideal. But that is the CCP's external term for this strategy. Internally, it is called the Covert Front because of the secrecy that surrounds it. The United Front is not united, but rather invasive, and it is a powerful strategy in practice. Mao Zedong placed the United Front at the top of his strategic list because of its decisive role in the Communist Party's seizure of power in China following their civil war with the Kuomintang. More than 70 years ago, the Kuomintang were far more powerful than the CCP. In such a battle, a direct and frontal attack would lead only to defeat. Instead, the CCP infiltrated the Kuomintang troops, turning many generals to Communist Party sympathizers or planting party spies as their secretaries. One example is Xiong Xianghui, the confidential secretary to Hu Zongnan, who commanded the Northwest Army, the main force of the Kuomintang. Xiong was a spy, and after every military meeting, he would immediately send information to Zhou Enlai, the second-in-command of the CCP. As a result, when the Northwest Army tried to overtake the Communist Army in northern Shanxi, their nearly 450,000 troops were unable to defeat the Communist Red Army of fewer than 40,000. Following their victory in this civil war and their assumption of power in China, the Communist Party built United Front departments at all levels of its organization, dedicated to research, draw historic lessons, and carry out new United Front work. China's integration into the global economic and trade system allowed them to expand those United Front tactics and apply them to their Western counterparts in political, academic, scientific, and business communities.
China is growing. The influence is getting bigger, greater and greater. Many people want to know China.
Demonstrating that philosophy in action through deception, co-option, bribery, and threats. And because of Taiwan's deep web of business involvement with mainland China, the CCP has penetrated Taiwan's traditional media, new media, religious group, political parties, business communities, and even the military. Their ability to invade and overtake through these routes should not be underestimated, particularly with Wang Huning in charge. Wang Huning is widely known as the theoretical master of the CCP, Having been the architect of key political ideologies for 3 generations of Communist Party leaders, including Xi Jinping, Western media describes Wang as the most dangerous figure directing the future of China. And according to Nikkei Asia, this is the man that Xi Jinping has tasked with developing an alternative to the current one country, two systems policy on Taiwan. However, Wang Huning's tasks go far beyond inventing an alternative theory. He's entrusted with the responsibility of leading the covert forces the CCP has cultivated for years to accomplish the so-called peaceful reunification goal. Yes, that's CCP's Plan A over Taiwan, using the United Front strategy to take Taiwan. One of the key components of this effort would be to intervene in Taiwan's 2024 presidential election, to foster or draw in presidential candidates, and to use all resources at the CCP's disposal to influence the public opinion in Taiwan. There's no one more qualified to lead that initiative than Wang Huning. While mild in manner, he excels at moving among and influencing top leadership, a needed skill for United Front work. Through this seemingly gentle invasion of leadership, Wang has won the trust and devotion of 3 generations of CCP leaders, all of whom were at odds with each other, and won a seat at the Politburo and Standing Committee tables for 15 years. But the United Front strategy has been constantly used by the CCP. They now lack the element of surprise that gave them the advantage against the Kuomintang during the Civil War period. So why should we pay special attention to this particular United Front offensive? And why would the CCP heavily rely on it now? Because a stressed economy and a hostile international environment will make the cost of taking Taiwan by force unbearable. China's economy is in a steady decline, and the government is out of money. The real estate sector, the cornerstone to the Chinese economy, is collapsing, and local debt has a stranglehold on the Chinese government. According to the Wall Street Journal, 2/3 of local Chinese governments have outstanding debt exceeding 120% of their 2022 revenues, and those debts have a significant drag on domestic economic growth. Without the flow of capital that comes from high growth, there is a genuine risk that China's local governments will default on their debts, triggering a financial crisis. Add to that the challenge China faces in encouraging economic growth amid low confidence in the private sector, substantial foreign capital withdrawal, supply chain shifts, ongoing U.S. chip embargoes, and an overall population decline. And Xi is left without a reason to celebrate his tenure in the presidency. He needs Taiwan to restore honor to his regime. For now, Xi is content to use voice of intimidation to suggest military might as his strategy. He wants Taiwan to believe that war is imminent if they do not bend to his will. But the world should not underestimate Xi's threats either. If the United Front effort fails, Xi is likely to resort to force because, unlike his predecessors, he has set a clear deadline for taking over the island. This program is not finished yet. If you want to watch the rest of it, please become a member of our website, zoominyin.tv. $5 a month or $50 a year. Cancel anytime. You will have access to my extended interviews and full in-depth reports. For those who are not quite ready to become a member yet, you're welcome to visit our website as well. We have all the shows we publish on YouTube on our website, so in case someday we're no longer on YouTube, you know where to find us. Oh, you can simply donate to us on our website too.